Who's that man on the cross, Abba?
Well, son, I am not sure, but some say his name is Jesus. He's a better rabbi than I've ever known. I once went to Bethsaida following the crowd near the Sea of Galilee where he was teaching. There he performed a great miracle. He fed a whole 5,000 of us just from 5 loaves of bread and 5 fish.
2 fish.
He healed the sick, he healed the blind, the lame, and those who were suffering from leprosy. Imagine this, son, he even raised a man called Lazarus from the dead.
So why is he on the cross, Abba?
Well, son, the priests say he blasphemed by forgiving people their sins. But you know what, son? Only God can forgive sins. Some say he is the promised Messiah. I do not know why this crowd that followed him has now decided to turn against him and have condemned him to the cross.
So what do you believe, Abba?
Well, son, I think this man is innocent, and I am convinced that this man is the Son of God.
I can't believe it. Jesus just stood there like Caiaphas and Pontius Pilate questioned him and had him tortured. Earlier, Jesus asked me, who did I think that he was? And I said that he was the Messiah, the Son of God. And he praised me for this. So, why had I turned my back on him when he needed me most? He'd just been arrested. And the people, they came with their clubs, and Judas, that traitor, betrayed Jesus to the high priest, whose men came with clubs and torches to take him away. I did my bit. I waved my sword around, and I even cut off one of the ears of one of the men, only for Jesus to place it back on again. It was clear that he did not approve of my action. Everyone ran, terrified, but I followed Jesus to the place that they took him. And while I interrogated him, I waited in the courtyard. And then it started. The pointing, the whispering, the talking. I thought I could handle it, but I couldn't. Jesus hadn't defended himself. He'd just gone with those men, so it hardly seemed likely that he would defend me either. And that's why I panicked and denied him 3 times. Oh, Father God, forgive me.
My name is Nicodemus. I am a Pharisee, and I'm a member of the Sanhedrin. You know, 3 years ago, I went to see a Jewish rabbi. His name was Yeshua, Jesus, because I had heard that he did wonderful things, miracles, wonders. Some people believe that he's the promised one, he was the Messiah, in fact, the Son of God. That's what they believed. And I had to find out for myself. So I went to see him secretly by night, you understand. In my position, being in the Sanhedrin, I can't be seen talking to him, a young Jewish rabbi. But he was brought before the Sanhedrin. He was arrested. And when they had brought him before the Sanhedrin, you know, me and my colleague and friend Joseph of Arimathea, we were not invited. I think Ananias knew that we would have opposed what they were doing. They mistreated him, you know. They humiliated him. Badly treated him. And he showed no fear. He showed no anger. And then I heard he was given over to Pilate, Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, because they wanted him executed. They wanted him dead, and they didn't have the authority, so they went to Pilate, who didn't really want to have him executed, and he put a criminal by the name of Barabbas. And Jesus on the other side, which one was to be released, as was customary at the Pesach, the Passover. And the crowd turned against him and they called out for Barabbas. Can you believe it? They called out for Barabbas to have him released. And then Jesus was led away. They dragged him off to be crucified, as he had actually predicted 3 years ago. You know, he said that the Son of Man had to be lifted up. He had to be lifted up as the serpent in the wilderness some 1,500 years ago. The serpent in the wilderness was lifted up by Moses. That was to happen to him. And you know, in the darkness that started at midday, it was so dark, some people became very afraid. As Jesus was dying, I remembered the night that I went and I saw him. I remember that. I wanted to have an intellectual conversation with him. I wanted a theological consideration as to who he was. But Jesus said I didn't need my curiosity satisfied. What I needed is to be spiritually revived. I needed a new mind, a new heart. In fact, he called it a new birth before I could understand anything from heaven. That's what he said. That's what he said. And then when he died, I understood what he meant. I understand now. I know who he is. And so I went to my friend Joseph of Arimathea once Jesus had died. And together we went to Pilate. And we asked the permission to take the body off the cross, not to leave it there, and to put it in the grave of Joseph Arimathea in his garden, you see. And that is what we did with the help of some of his followers. That's where we laid him to rest. That is what we did do.
It happened all so fast. 1 minute, it was the Passover. The next, there was false accusations, beatings, a trial. Then they put a crown of thorns on his head and led him away like a lamb to be sacrificed, and made my son to carry a heavy, humiliating wooden cross. I stood there and looked up at him and watched him slowly die, and I just couldn't help but remembering him in that manger that night. You see, they could all doubt, they can all second guess, but I always knew that he was the Messiah. And as I saw him hanging there, I couldn't help but keep remembering him in that manger. You see, they have it all so wrong. They believed that they've been deceived. They believe that he is a liar and a cheater. And they've been waiting so long for a Messiah that they are so confused that they could conjure up a belief that this Messiah could come but not establish this kingdom the way they had hoped and imagined. But I knew. I remember that day, like yesterday, when Gabriel the angel visited me in my room and spoke to me. Oh, I remember it so clearly. I remember the wonder and the majesty of that moment. Every time I try to second guess that he can be the Christ, I can't. There's just too many signs. There was the stars, the shepherds, the wise men, and my son in the manger. I believe that he was and is the Son of God. Love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this that caused the to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, for my soul, to bear the dreadful curse for my soul. To God and to the Lamb I will sing, I will sing. To God and to the Lamb I will sing. To God and to the Lamb, who is the great I am, while millions join the theme, I will sing, I will sing. While millions join the theme, I will sing. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing and joyful be. And through eternity, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And through eternity, I'll sing on.
Worthy when they crucified my Lord. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Were you there when the sun refused to shine? Were you there when the sun refused to shine? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when the sun refused to shine? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they laid him in the tomb?
tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks in the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I'd stay in the garden with him, though the night around me be falling, but he bids me go through the voice of his voice to me is calling. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
This morning before dawn, Mary Salome, Mary of Clopas, and I returned to the tomb, frightened but determined to anoint Jesus' body with spices. We knew then that we weren't going to be able to roll the stone away and that we could be arrested or even killed. But at that point, we didn't care. When we arrived, we were surprised to find that the stone had been rolled away and the tomb was empty and Jesus' body was gone. And I ran to find Simon, Peter, and John, and I told them, they have taken my Lord away and I don't know where they have placed him. And together we ran back and they looked inside the tomb so quickly, but then they were off and gone. But I stayed. And I walked inside and I found two people in white. And they asked me why I was crying. As if it wasn't obvious. But it was then I heard footsteps behind me and a voice. The most beautiful voice I'd ever heard, and one word was all that was needed. And he said, Mary. I fell to my knees because I've heard that voice before. I knew who he was, and I cried out to him, "Teacher, Master." But he stopped me, told me not to cling to him, and he said that I must go and leave, tell the others what I had seen, because he had to return to his father, our father, and I would have stayed with him forever and ever. But he told me to go. So I went, and I found the others, and I've told them that I had seen the Lord, that he's alive. I have seen him, that he is risen.
He is risen.
He is risen.
He's alive.
He's risen.
He's risen.
He's risen.
He is risen.
He's risen.
He is risen.
Christ the Lord is risen today. Hallelujah. Sons of men and angels say, Hallelujah. Praise your joys and triumphs high. Hallelujah. Sing ye heavens and earth reply. Hallelujah. Please join us for the final verse, for the rest of the song. Lives again a glorious King. Hallelujah. Where all death is now lost in. Hallelujah. Once he died, our souls to save. Hallelujah. Where's thy victory, buzzing grave? Hallelujah. Love's redeeming work is done. Hallelujah. For the fight, the battle's won. Hallelujah. Death in vain forbids him rise. Hallelujah. Christ has opened paradise. Hallelujah. So we then where Christ has led. Hallelujah. Following our exalted head. Hallelujah. Men like him we rise. Hallelujah. All the cross, the grave, the stars. Hallelujah.
The song we're going to do next is actually called See What a Morning, and it is the song that actually inspired the program today. It is, yes, it's the dawning of hope in Jerusalem when Jesus rose up from the dead.